what Shoppy's doing and what Jansen Miller is doing, this team desperately needed and didn't really feel like we had it in years past. Like Johnny used to be that guy, and then Johnny got a little older, and as captain, I think he reined it in just a little bit, and then the team wasn't good, and this team didn't have somebody like that who just could sort of become that emotional leader, passionate, sort of fiery personality. And Shoppy and Jansen are both kind of that guy now. What's going on, my friend, and welcome back to another episode of No Other Pod. I'm Jimmy, along with my good buddy Daniel Kooser. Dan, what's going on, my friend?
Let me talk to you, bro. It is double game week, man. It has been so much soccer in my life. I don't know how to operate. I'm very tired. I'll tell you that. It's been good, man. It's been fun. Had a hell of a weekend. How was yours?
It was good. Yeah, I'm getting ready to. I got some adventures coming up here in my personal life. Over the next couple of weeks. So doing lots of laundry, getting ready for that. But yeah, no, it's good. Watched a huge current game on Friday night. That was a blast. Make sure you listen to Currently when it comes out later this week to talk about the huge game with Orlando. That was awesome.
A big one. I got some pizza for that one. I was like, we should order pizza. This feels like an event.
This feels like a pizza night,
bro. And before the Sporting game on Saturday against San Diego, I went and had a vegan cheese date with some vegan friends we know, and they live up in KC.
Okay.
And they bought this like vegan cheese box from a place in Austin, Texas called Rebel Cheese.
Okay.
Great place, by the way. Highly recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
And I ate way too much.
Yeah.
But I don't even want to talk prices. I won't even tell you how much that cost, but we paid for like half of it. And pretty sure I had more than half. Just throwing that out there.
Vegan cheese, I imagine, if it's good vegan cheese, is probably more expensive than even just regular cheese because of all the processing you have to do to get it to like emulate cheese.
It's just cashews and usually some kind of binding agent, and spices and whatnot. But it was, man, there was some good stuff. And we had a whole thing going. We had some baguette. We had some crackers. We bought two sausages, two vegan sausages from Natural Grocers.
Mm-hmm.
And they're pretty proud of their prices too. If you've ever been a Natural Grocer, it's not a good time.
Yeah.
So that was my Saturday. And then I came home and tried my best to stay awake for this game, my friend.
Yeah.
All the time.
It was a late game, and I had to get up early a couple days prior for some work stuff, so I wasn't sleeping all that well, and it got to like 6 p.m. on Saturday, and I was like, I kind of want to drink a coffee so I could stay up, but I was like, but if I drink a coffee now, that means I'm going to be up until like 2 or 3 in the morning, so I didn't. So I watched the whole game. But I found myself, I was on my couch, I was watching, I was laying down, my dog snuggled up next to me, so I was like, this is a recipe for falling asleep. And I found myself at the 80th minute, I blinked, and then I blinked, and then suddenly I realized that I had stayed blinking for about 2 minutes. I woke back up, and I was like, 2 minutes have gone by. So I made it to the end of the game, but those 9:45 p.m. Central Time kicks, they're tough.
Rough. It is, man. I mean, it's tough if you're old, like us, but like, I was like, okay, I need to do something like with my hands. I got an Ollie Pop. You ever had an Ollie Pop?
I haven't tried it yet. You like them? I've heard mixed.
Very yummy. It's a very clean soda. I mean, there's not a lot of junk in there.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, still pretty sleepy. So I got out my massage gun and did about 20 minutes on my quads, glutes, shoulders, neck, traps, all that stuff. And then I was like, okay. So I threw on my compression leggings on my calves. I was like, we'll just have a recovery night. That'll keep me up. Well, all the compression did, buddy, was like, put me to sleep.
Yep. I was like, that's not going to help. That's just going to be like a nice little peaceful massage.
I know. And it did. And I like woke up when the game was over. I was like, 0-0. Didn't miss a whole lot. All right.
You got to get like a fan that's like blowing right on your face or something to keep you awake. Yes. Turn on some like death metal music.
I put a lot of pressure on my spouse. I look over. She's dead to the world, just passed out. And I'm like, well, that looks kind of nice. Yeah. She looks very peaceful. I might try that out.
Yeah. It was a late game. I mean, we'll talk about it later, but it ended up being a 0-0 game. There wasn't There were some exciting moments in it, but it wasn't, certainly didn't have the same level of excitement as the St. Louis game did.
Wednesday was a time. And I got to tell you, man, we get comments on YouTube, by the way, about our podcast, and I don't ever remember to talk about them, by the way.
Go back.
So just know, if you've left us comments on our YouTube, I see them. Not right away, but I do see them eventually when my wife goes, "Hey, you got comments on your YouTube?" I'm like, "Oh, no shit."
Yeah, it is hard. I mean, when you're on multiple, we got Apple Podcasts and Spotify and YouTube, and
well, we don't get informed.
Yeah,
like it would inform whoever does
YouTube
videos, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So I mean, it is what it is. Nick,
you
need to start informing us, Nick. We do see them, and thank you. It's very appreciative. I know you can't always leave Apple Podcast reviews, so thank you.
Yeah, you see those. If you send us an email at nootherpod@gmail.com, we don't always get a reply to them, and sometimes we get distracted and forget to mention them on here, but we try our best to either reply or respond here, and so we do see them all, so we appreciate it.
We see your nice comments. If it's mean, we don't see those. We don't see those at all. Those get hidden. Yes, they get hidden.
We've had some almost exclusively positive reviews. There's occasionally someone gets mad that we talk too much wrestling or something, and it's fine.
Look at our faces. Who's going to come in here and be negative about these two gorgeous gentlemen doing this podcast? Yeah. No one's doing that. You can't hate on handsome people.
That's right. That's what I always say. You can't.
That's what I always
dislike handsome people.
You can't dislike handsome people. It's a rule, dude. It's like an amendment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure that's how the world works. There's nobody who's ever been attractive has ever been an asshole.
Never. Couldn't tell you.
But it was a busy week, and imagine if we're this tired. Think of how tired the players were, because they had 3 games in 8 days.
They went out west. They came back central. They went out west again. Now they're coming back central. What? People were worried about Taylor Swift's air mileage. Like, what do we?
It's great point. Yeah, there's a lot of flying. MLS, I think they do all charters now, but do you remember a handful of years ago when it was like you'd only get 3 or 4 charters a year, and you'd end up at old KCI on a Southwest flight, and you look over and you're like, oh, there's Graham Zeus.
Matt Beasler. Yeah.
He's going to be sitting next to me. We're both, B36 and B37.
That'd be nuts, by the way. I'd be like, hey, remember when we painted the wall? That was good. Yeah. Dude, I remember. This is crazy, by the way. The schedulers here, having us have 3 road games in a row like this in a short week. It's one thing to have 3 road games in a row, 3 weeks in a row. But when you throw a Wednesday game in there, it's like, why do you hate us? Like, is there a draft order happens when you do really bad and then you get good draft picks and whatever? How come it's not like, hey, you did really bad, so we're going to give you a favorable road schedule?
Right. Well, and it's already crazy because in April, there was, 3-4 games total, I think. And in May, there were 7 games. Now there are 6 games because the LAFC game that was originally scheduled for May 28th has been rescheduled for June 8th.
Yeah, that's been moved from a Wednesday evening to a Sunday evening, I believe.
Yeah, so that's actually good for us because there's 2 more games in May, because there was going to be a game on the 24th on Saturday, and then there was going to be a game on the 28th on Wednesday, and then another game again on the 31st on Saturday. So there was going to be another 3 games in 8 days situation. But
for us,
they did reschedule it to accommodate LAFC and CONCACAF Champions Cup. So
works for me, dude. I don't need to see these guys getting more tired than they need to be, because we need to start winning some games.
Yeah. There was it's interesting because it's going to be a May 31st playoff match. Sorry, I said CONCACAF Champions Cup. It's FIFA Club World Cup.
Yeah, it's FIFA Club.
May 31st playoff match between LAFC and Club America for a berth in the FIFA Club World Cup this summer. So even though the game technically wouldn't have conflicted, MLS was like, no, we're not risking LAFC being tired against Club America 3 days before. So,
I get that, I guess. If it was us, if I was an LAFC supporter, I'd be like, cool, thank you. That's awesome. Thank you for the privilege.
There's a lot of weirdness happening going on because U.S. Soccer also authorized a 10-day transfer window from June 1st to June 10th ahead of the Club World Cup and MLS will implement it only for clubs in the tournament. So it could be a special transfer window only for the Seattle Sounders, Inter Miami, and LAFC if they win this playoff game. So
I don't love that, I guess, because Miami just continues to get whoever they want.
yeah,
I borderline hate that, actually, but I guess if it was my team, I'd be like, sweet, that's pretty cool.
yeah. It is. It's interesting. I mean, the summer transfer window won't come terribly long after that, but it does give 3 teams the ability to get a player in earlier than the rest of the league, and it gives that player the ability to integrate into the squad and get more used to playing with the squad earlier than the rest of the league. So, like you said, there's a part of me that gets it because MLS really wants these teams to put up a good showing in the Club World Cup. But let's be honest. It really doesn't matter who they bring in that 10-day transfer window because who's going to end up winning the Club World Cup? It's going to be somebody like Real Madrid. It's going to be somebody like Barcelona, Bayern Munich, because those are the same. I mean, they do the same thing with this tournament that MLS clubs historically did with the U.S. Open Cup. They play their reserves throughout the first however many rounds because they're playing much worse teams and their reserves are able to handle these teams with relative ease until they get to the round of 16, the quarterfinals, etc. And then suddenly Real Madrid and Bayern Munich and Manchester City are like, oh, sure, we'll take another trophy. And then they start playing their starters. So we'll see. But Seattle, Miami, or LAFC, none of them are going to win the Club World Cup.
Probably not. It'd be cool, but it's always kind of a, Barcelona type situation, right? Real Madrid type situation.
If you had to pick of those 3 teams, LAFC, Miami, and Seattle, who's the one that you would lean more toward being like, that's the team of those 3 I would pull most for?
I mean, pull most for? I mean, I guess I would want to pull most for the person who has a legitimate chance. And that's tough to say right now because LAFC and Seattle are 5th and 6th in the Western Conference, respectively. And Miami is 5th in the Eastern Conference, respectively. So last year, this time, I probably would have said Miami because I think they were top of the league, But I don't know, man. That's pretty middle of the road, well, still the upper third of the, conference, but still.
I think of those 3 teams, not considering who has the best chance of winning, I think I'd pull for LAFC more than the other 2 just because I don't have, not that I like LAFC, but I don't have necessarily the same level of animosity toward LAFC that I do with Seattle necessarily.
So you're getting personal with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Seattle still gets pissed every time anybody even utters the name Tim Melia. It could be 2,000 miles away. Someone whispers Tim Melia and all of Seattle's like, what? What'd you say?
Seattle's quite the candy ass when it comes to rock bottom.
Some jabronis.
Yeah.
I just, Miami, I can't pull for Miami.
It's tough.
So
I mean, but like I said, if Miami was crushing fools, I would be like, yes. If MLS has any chance here, it's Miami. But I guess given what you just said, and if I had gun to my head, I had to say something, I would probably also say LAFC.
Yeah, I don't feel like we've had run-ins with LAFC and their fan base. I've been out to games out there. It's a wonderful stadium. I'm from LA, so but they weren't mean, they weren't rude.
No.
Ilie
I love this stadium, bro. They got vegan chicken shop right there in the stadium.
There's a YouTuber I watched, and he went there. He got invited to do a food media event preview at BMO Stadium before the season. I'm looking there, I'm like, damn, man, their food looks so good compared to what we get at Children's Mercy Park. So
yeah, 100%, dude. There's some good food around the league, to be honest, and honestly, just right down the road from Children's Mercy Park, there's excellent food at CPKC Stadium. I'm not lying. It's a hell of a time.
It is. So if there's anything, and then we'll take our break here in a second, but if there's one thing about the Children's Mercy Park game day experience that I could change, I mean, there's a number of things I would change, but if you could only tell me you can change one thing and one thing only, what would you change? I would revamp the food and drink options.
Well, it's important because these games are around meal times. And so if you want people to eat, why wouldn't you get some good stuff in there and not some room temperature burger in foil, it's just
for sure.
They have these grab and go places that just feels really weird.
Feels like you're grabbing something out of a Casey's refrigerator section.
Oh yeah. It feels like a weird cafeteria. It's at a big corporate office or something.
Yeah. So Anyway, let's take our break here, and we'll come back and we'll talk some more soccer. But we'll be right back.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
It's playoff time, and if you're still just watching games, then you're missing out. With Pick 6 from DraftKings, you can turn your hoops knowledge into real cash. Just make your picks, track your score, and if you hit all 6, you're looking at bigger payouts than Prize Picks flex plays. Nobody's dropping better payouts than Pick 6. Hit 6 picks, and that's 25 times your cash. And if you beat your competitor, you could be looking at a 500 times bag in your pocket. And right now, new customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry. The playoffs are on, so why not take a shot at making a little money while you're watching? Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN to play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks. Better payouts, bigger wins, only on Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Buddy, I went and did it again, and I have, I've caused you to come see me in another musical.
Yeah.
And Nick, you better bring Nick, man, because I'm going to be in Groundhog Day, the musical. And I know what you're like, that's a thing? That's weird, right? And it's like, honestly, it's a very new show, and we're the first in the region to be doing the show, which is kind of cool. So,
and
it's on Broadway.
It's very meta because you're going to be performing Groundhog Day over and over and over and over for what,
Bro,
a month and a half?
It is. And I, as an actor and memorization goes, there's a part of me that, if you've seen the movie, you know that there's a lot of scenes are the same, yet slightly different. And it'll be like, man, that's going to be a mind fuck to really do those scenes the same, but make these minor changes 3 or 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
Because you remember the movie a little bit. He just tried to do what works and try to change things. And I think the worst part for me, though, is that it takes place in the winter. So we will be in winter clothes, but it will be July and August and be hot as hell outside.
Let me ask you this, especially for a show like that, because you also have, a pretty extensive improv background, not just theater. So for a show like that, where they're like, it's written into the show that there are different tweaks and such, like, how much leeway do you have to do like a little improv to like spice it up a little bit? Or for a show like this, do you like really have to try to keep it because you don't want to mess up the other actors?
I think you really should. I think you should never really improv in like a show like that. You know what I mean? There's a difference between like improving your reactions to something or improving an entire line that is the cue for the next actor's line.
Right. Yeah.
Like if that actor's waiting for you to say something and you say something completely different, it's like, I don't trust you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now you fucked up. And I've been on the opposite end of that. And I'm like, this guy's scary.
Yeah. Unless you have a really good rapport with that person and you've worked it out ahead of time and they know you're like, I'm going to say a one-liner. It may not be exactly the same every night, but you'll know after that sentence is done. But that's hard.
Sure. I hope you can make it down. It was Tony nominated. The actor was as well. So, I mean, it should be good, man. Big plans this summer for me.
Awesome. That sounds good. Well, let's talk about this St. Louis game for a little bit. It was, first off, before we talk about the game, we would be remiss if we didn't say, like, we hope everybody who is in the St. Louis region is safe and okay. There was F3 tornado that tore through St. Louis, and there's double-digit people who have died from this tornado. And
when the hell? When was this? I didn't even hear about it.
After this was a couple nights ago, 2-3 nights ago, something like that. My buddy who lives in St. Louis, like they lost power. There's videos you can get online and like destruction. There was a photo that I saw of a tornado like from the arch, and I was like, this tornado looks like it's over City Park. And it wasn't, but I mean, there's some videos of like just utter destruction. Yeah, Friday night I think it was. And I mean, an F3 tornado is a big tornado. So
I mean, yeah, it is. I'm seeing this right now, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I was talking about this with somebody else, and they were out of town, and they didn't hear about it either. They're like, that's kind of interesting that it hasn't made more news. Like, St. Louis is a big city, and this was a huge tornado, and I don't think this was all in the St. Louis area, but from the general storm system Friday night, as of last night, I think I read that there was up to 21 deaths. I had heard 4 in the St. Louis area as of Saturday, but just anyway,
Damn, bro.
Good thought. Like, look, we have a sports rivalry, but we hope everybody's safe and doing it.
Was it a nighttime tornado?
It was in the later in the day. I did see video and I was like, fuck this, where there were people up in the arch as the tornado was coming through downtown. And I was like, could you imagine a worse place to be in a major tornado than
honestly, isn't that
100
very
feet in the air?
structurally sound though? I mean, I feel like
it's swaying. Like,
Sure.
you see the videos. They're not supposed to send people up if they're in the midst of a warning, either in St. Louis or anywhere near. And I guess this tornado came, I don't know, it came out of nowhere, but they didn't expect it. And once you're up there, they have to stop running the elevators. They can't get you down. So you just kind of got to sit there and wait it out.
This is where we live, y'all. Pick your poison. You want earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, you got to pick one.
Yeah.
Blizzards, you got to live somewhere. It sucks ass, dude.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, man, if you're watching this video right now, I started to smirk when you said our condolences go out to St. Louis because I thought you were about to be snarky about us, gathering or fixing a 2-goal deficit. And I was like, this guy's about to throw some shade. And then you said tornado, and I still wasn't sold. I was like, you mean the Shopee tornado? Like, that's, I didn't know what you were about to say.
Right. No, an actual tornado.
I feel stupid. I feel so dumb.
I, on Wednesday, was being my snarky ass, and because they put up their TiVo that was like, True Hell Burns Red, and I put up a post that was like, I too would refer to St. Louis as True Hell, and which I thought I cooked with it a little bit, but now I feel bad because there's all this destruction in St. Louis, and I was like, I lived before the tornado. I didn't delete.
Yeah,
still there.
Timestamp before tornado.
So, but anyway,
did you get a little? I saw you got some comments in there too. Like, come on, Jimmy.
It was that nobody from St. Louis really engaged all that much. There were a couple people that were like, "Can't we just acknowledge both places are bad places to live?" And I was like, "No, because Kansas City's a great place to live."
That's a can't we all get along tweet right there. Like, and the answer is absolutely not. We all cannot get along about anything and everything.
No, you must be new here. This
Are
is
you
a
new?
long and storied rivalry between Kansas City and St. Louis.
I mean, people in general, we like to fight.
Right. So
we disagree on all things. Dude, but here's what we all can agree on. We're both bad. I mean, but we're not as bad as you. Like, there's that.
Yeah. It's it was
that's bad.
We had talked last week going in this game. We were like, if we could choose to win one of the St. Louis game or the San Diego game, we would choose the St. Louis game. And, I went into this game relatively confident because, as we had talked about last time, they didn't have a significant attacking threat in their team. They don't have a guy who is the main goal scorer anymore. Joao Klaus isn't that guy anymore. What I didn't expect is Roman Berkey to come back for this game. He had broken his hand earlier in the season, which for a goalkeeper, I don't know if you know, got to use your hands. It's not great.
Use them.
So
I was worried about that. I was like, great. His comeback game is against us. I hate this.
I was a little worried about that too, because he's their captain, their guy. And so I was like,
people love him.
This is going to be like an emotional bounce back thing.
And he's going to have a shutout,
So I was worried about it. And then it was the 15th minute, and it was off of a corner kick, and we give it up, and Sporting tries to clear the box, but it doesn't clear quite right. I think it was Jansen Miller kind of doesn't exactly get the header correct. It just skips off his head. falls to Celio Pompeo from outside the box. And look, credit to him, because this is a hell of a shot. I mean, there's nothing John Pulskamp can do about this. It's a wonder goal. But 1-0, 15 minutes in, down to St. Louis. This was the exact opposite start that Sporting Kansas City needed.
Agreed, man. It wasn't a good start at all.
I feel like, actually Robert Volader mentioned this after the San Diego game, but I was like, how many weeks in a row is Sporting Kansas City going to be on the defending end of a goal of the match day nominee? Because this was like 3 games in a row where it was like, okay, at least it wasn't a bicycle kick, but it's still, a freaking golazo from outside the box that curled perfectly into the top right corner.
It was a baller shot. Was this Jansen Miller's little reverse head clearance? Yeah. Okay. See, we played games in such quick succession here. I'm getting stuff mixed up. But he didn't clear at all. You know what I mean? He's just like, get it away from this goal. And that guy's like, thank you.
Yeah. I have to believe that like he just misjudged it a little bit. Like usually like try to get it up in the air with more power. He really just skipped it right back to Pompeo perfectly. And that was that. So that kind of sucked, but okay. 1-0 against a team like St. Louis, who again, they hadn't really gotten anything from the run of play. If Sporting gets their attack, together, they can still earn a result from this game or even win this game. But then in the 44th minute, just before halftime, just the stupidest goal that St. Louis scores. And again, I was like, this is what's annoying. St. Louis had a Golazzo that like had a really low chance of going in. And then Toykert scores a goal technically that he doesn't know anything about. That's an entire fluke goal where he's like almost jumping, trying almost to avoid the ball, and it bounces off of him and redirects into the net. And I was like, this is, of course, the way that Sporting is going to lose to St. Louis. It was no.
I couldn't believe it. Both of those goals should have never happened. The fact that it did, I'm just like, we just can't catch a break, bro. Like that, it like one guy takes a shot and the other guy's trying to just get out of the way. And it just like nicks his foot.
Bounced off the back of his heel.
Yeah, it happens so fast. And he's like, does he get credit for that goal then?
Oh, yeah.
And the other guy doesn't?
Nope.
That's bullshit. Because if it
last.
I guess if it ricocheted off of one of our guys, it would have been an own goal, right?
Yeah. If it was originally going to be off target, which it probably was.
At this point in this game, I'm like, I hate this. I hate this so much. And let me tell you what's going on in my household. Typically, my wife's going to fall asleep soon. So she goes, I'm just going to take a little halftime nap. I said, no, you're not. You're going to fall asleep for the rest of the game. You're lying to me. Just stop being a liar. I said, stop being a liar. And she goes, no, I'm just going to close my eyes. I said, okay, yeah, just close your eyes. I'm just resting my eyes, Dad. And she's passing out. And I said, babe, we could score 1 goal and we're back in this thing. Like 2-0, most dangerous lead in soccer. We all know this. Most dangerous lead. And I said, 1 goal and we're back in. Yeah. And boy, we did it. And I woke her ass up screaming, whoa! I was fired up, bro.
I imagine you're like, we scored. She's like, I know, I saw it. And you're like, no, you didn't. You're a liar. If you saw it, what happened? Who was it?
She wakes up and goes, yay. And I was like, this is what you get for going to I'm like berating her. You shouldn't have fell asleep.
And this wasn't even that late of a game.
No, it wasn't. I was like, damn, and it's only Wednesday. You tired halfway through the week? She's like, work's been crazy.
This is side tangent real quick. I saw a TikTok yesterday of a dude who it was like 8:30 and he was kind of, I guess, playing a joke on his buddies, but he was just calling his buddies at like 8:30 p.m. He's like, hey man, I just want to say good night, going to sleep. Hope you're doing. He's just like calling his friends to say it, and they're like super confused. Like, what do you need? He's like, I just want to say good night. And they're like, why are you calling me to just, okay, like that, whatever. And like, it was kind of funny. So I'm imagining if I just called you at like 8:30, I was like, hey Dan, going to sleep. Just want to say good night. Like what your reaction would be.
Bro, my autistic matter-of-fact brain would say something like, what do you want? Like it would just, I'd be like, why are you calling? Like it's 2025. Text me.
We text all the time. Very rarely have we ever like actually called each other on the phone. Like a couple times to talk about stuff that's like longer, but like it's not that often.
I think one time you texted me night smooches, and I was like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah, with a little kissy face. I was like, don't tell Marissa. Anyway, so she was asleep. She missed a good goal because this was Tim Leibold, who I have been
baby.
at times a little critical of his play.
Not a scorer.
Not typically a scorer. And this was one of those goals where I was appreciative that we have somebody like Manu Garcia who kind of started this thing off, because Manu gets the ball in the middle of the field and he tries to drive toward the center of the box. St. Louis crashes down on it pretty easily. And what normally would happen with Sporting Kansas City in years past is they would either immediately just kick the ball out wide or they'd turn around and they'd pass it backwards. And just like, oh, there's nothing there that's easy, give up. Manu, who's a little bit more skilled on the ball, goes back, takes a couple steps back, resets, but then immediately looks up and he goes, okay, who can I find instead of just recycling the ball back to the back line? And he does this gorgeous little chip to Tim Leibold. And let me tell you, this goal could have been up for team of the match day if it was up to me, because of how gorgeous it was in terms of team passing. Leibold, first little touch, perfect to Daniel Shallowy with a gorgeous little header right down to Leibold again off the left foot, past Berkey, boom, 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 goal, Sporting Kansas City. That was one of my favorite goals they've scored in a long time.
It was insane. It was insane, dude. It was like movement. Like, hey, we're playing the game and we're not scared. And it's like, you see these moments from us in a game. You're like, okay, God dang it, dude, there's flashes, there's pieces. Like, we could put it together to make a really good run here.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just not getting it done. Then we like give up some stupid bicycle kick or some stupid deflection goal. We have the makings of something great here, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fast forwarding a little bit, but even that San Diego game, we had a shutout in San Diego on the road against a good San Diego team. No Dejan Joveljic, who I think is having a baby. So
I think his first kid was being born, or has probably been born by now.
Congrats to you and the baby and the wife. But it's just exciting. It's exciting to see these things, dude. And like, maybe playing 3 games quickly like this in like stressful situations is good for us to like, hey man, how can you operate under this extreme pressure? Because then you're going to turn around and come and play a home game and hopefully get the job done.
Yeah.
And all these road games in a row just means we have home games in a row somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It was a gorgeous goal. And it happened early enough in the game where it was 20-ish minutes left. You're like, okay, Sporting could mess around and get a result. Sporting could mess around and get a win here. And then it was nice to see a set piece goal for Sporting Kansas City, considering how many set piece goals we've given up. And we had no Danny Rosero, who's typically been our biggest set piece threat. But Shapi Suleimanov, it seems like maybe we have a set piece guy that's not Memo Rodriguez. I don't know. But suddenly, if it's off his left foot, he steps up and sends a gorgeous ball into the box. And freaking Dejan Joveljic, I don't know if he put on his Superman cape or that Jedi video from Star Wars Night stayed with him and he used the Force to jump even higher than he normally could. But this dude freaking flew over all of the St. Louis defenders at a towering header and puts it past Berkey to make it 2-2. And it was...
Yeah, dude. You don't mess around with Dejan, just like you don't tug on Superman's cape. You know, you don't spit in the wind. That whole thing.
Yeah, it was...
You like this? You know what this is? Anyone doing this these days?
A Shapi,
baby. I can't hear you, St. Louis fans. Oh my! I thought he was. First of all, I don't do this. That's like that's moose antlers.
I did. I thought he was doing moose antlers at first. Like I was like nana nana boo boo. Like
I know. I would be like this probably, or I even cup one ear. But he did. He cupped 2 ears. Yeah. I was like, why are you doing elephant stuff? It's pretty weird.
Well, because St. Louis fans were booing him every time they touched the ball because
dude. That's like if someone airballs in basketball, they were doing the airball chant. Like every time he touched the ball, they booed him.
They were booing him. And so then he does the assist and Sporting had chances after that where they could have won the game. And Pulskamp again came up big a couple of times to keep Sporting in it. But Shapi went over and he did the ear thing. And then I think it was Pompeo who kind of got in his face. And there's the hilarious photo of Shapi's kind of like laughing and like pointing while Pompeo's all pissed off. And Sporting made a profile picture which I was all about.
So good, dude. Like that, nothing is like, you just don't engage You don't fight someone who's mad. You just look at him. You're like, this idiot.
This guy's
Like,
an idiot. Well,
look at
a
this guy.
St. Louis player with like 3 minutes left in stoppage time put their hands on Shoppy's neck. That should have been an immediate red card.
Well, hold on, buddy. Referees don't care about any rule in this league. Any hands to the face, any lingering substitution or simulation. Like, they don't care. Any captain talking to, I didn't actually in this game, didn't someone get a yellow for dissent for talking to the ref that was not the captain?
Yeah. Because they pick and choose when they want to enforce rules and when they don't.
They pick and choose. They're like, this feels like a good one. And then they're like, no, this one feels like I probably should not influence the game. How about you just do what the rules are? How about you do it so us as fans know what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nice. We can't follow a league where the rules are sporadic as hell. Right. And I'm not just saying that because we're the victim of something. I hate to see it in any game. I think it's stupid.
I mean, it's happened where Sporting has been the beneficiary of it as well. Just a lack of consistency across the officiating.
It is so dumb, dude. Just call the fouls how they're supposed to be fouls. Someone kicks a ball away, immediate yellow, and that curbs that behavior. If my dog keeps shitting on the carpet, I got to do something about it. You know what I mean? These refs are shitting all over our game. When are we going to do something about it?
The last thing we'll say about this game, I did ask Kerry Zavagnin in the postgame just about Shoppy, because we've seen a couple times now, Shoppy, like, he plays so intensely and with so much passion and energy on the field. He and Jansen Miller both, they're like the high motor guys in the field. And this was, Shoppy's second game playing St. Louis, but he's new to the team, new to the country, new to the league. And I was like, this dude's already sort of ingratiating himself almost as like the villain, if you will. And so I asked Kerry about it, and he said, quote, he's such a nice guy and has integrated himself with the group. He's got a great personality and a great sense of humor, but when he gets on the field, he's a completely different person. He puts the mask on and he does embrace that villain role. He really doesn't care what people think or say or do from a fan perspective. I think that actually energizes him. And for us, I think it helps us. It helps us from an energy and an emotional level that we can join him. You're always competing in games like this that are rising to the level of just being over the edge. He's our leader in that regard.
Hell yeah.
I love that. I love that. Like, that's the type of player. And honestly, I didn't expect one of the two players to do it, to be a rookie, but what Shoppy's doing and what Jansen Miller is doing, this team desperately needed and didn't really feel like we had it in years past. Like, Johnny used to be that guy, and then Johnny got a little older, and as captain, I think he reined it in just a little bit, and then the team wasn't good, and this team didn't have somebody like that who just could sort of become that emotional leader, passionate, sort of fiery personality. And Shoppy and Jansen are both kind of that guy now, and I think it's a huge reason why the team is as good as it is. And even Dion, I asked him about it also, and he said, I've known Shoppy longer than the other guys because we've played 2 or 3 times against him in international competition. And he was like, we need to have guys and players like him who are good outside of the field, and when you step onto the field, they're like fighters. I'm happy to have him as a teammate. He's such a good person and an amazing player. He's going to help us with goals and with assists. So
listen, Dayon just wants to play St. Louis every week.
I love that quote so much.
Yep. But another quote I love so much is Jansen saying, like, they want to talk about loyalty. Like, they could have drafted me. Like, they had a higher They had a higher pick than Sporting did, and you passed up. So, like, fuck you. I'm Kansas City now, baby. And they were mad about him, dude. They were mad about his comments, like, Kansas City's just better. And they're like, how dare you be unloyal? And it's like, could have been with you, man. Could have been loyal the whole time.
Yep.
But y'all didn't want me.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm in. Oh, I'm so in, dude. Jansen Miller, we could hang, bro. That's good times.
Let's go ahead and take our second break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk San Diego. So we'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
Hey, you ever dabble in those Final Destination movies?
Never. I have not seen a single one.
Well, I mean, that's probably best. They just make you scared about life.
Right. I don't need that. I'm already like about to probably get on anxiety medication. I don't need more reasons to be anxious.
That's true. You're like, tornado in St. Louis? I better get to my basement.
Honestly, tornadoes freaking me the hell out. I'm that dude who's like, before we started recording this podcast, we're recording this on Sunday, and I'm sitting here reading weather blogs and looking at the weather data from all of the meteorologists who are like, well, the barometric readings of this are here in the cold front with the hot. And I'm like, okay, I need it. Like, the more information I have, the more it makes me feel better.
Well,
So-
here's the deal. I won't, this new Final Destination movie that came out, highest rated one in the franchise, apparently. Very excited about it. But I will not turn my tray table knob on an airplane. I won't do it because in that first movie, he does that and the knob comes off and like that leads to the events and the plane explodes. And then he comes out of his like trance and he's like back in the plane and he pulls the knob and it comes off and it's like, oh no, all these events are going to happen. We got to get off the plane. All I know is if I turned it and my knob came off, I'd be like, nope, motherfucking nope. It's time to get out.
You're talking about the little thing that like keeps the tray up?
Yeah, the little knob. And oh my God, Marissa always brings her tray down and I'll look at her. I'm like, God help me if that knob comes off. What is she doing? Hasn't she seen the films?
So if you had, we will talk soccer here again in a second, but if you had a premonition like that on a plane that like felt really real, where you see the knob break off and you snap out of it, is the first thing you're going to do is to see if you can snap the knob off, or you'd be like, I'm not touching that knob and I'm not letting anybody touch that knob. Because I feel like if I had this like premonition and I see all this happening, the first thing I'm going to do is not immediately be like, well, let me see if I can break the knob off.
Well, that's not what he does. He just, he's just going to put down his tray table and it happens. It's like,
I'm not touching
just going about his day. It's a little, I don't know. It's crazy. Those movies are crazy. Some are better than others. Some are very, very campy, very silly, but some are, oh boy, that car crash in the second movie, that was highly realistic.
Were there Resident Evil games? Or not Resident Evil, Final Destination games or anything?
I don't know.
No?
I don't know.
For some reason, I thought at one point there might have been a game. I know Resident Evil, obviously, they were games, and then the
Sure.
movies. I think that's why my brain went there. But
I don't know. You've done great, though, staying away from them because they just, you'll look at them and be like, you'll start counting things you shouldn't do. All right, tanning beds, I'm out. Don't get on a subway train. Got it. Probably shouldn't go to an auto race, apparently. That could be a huge disaster.
well, good news is most of those things I haven't done, except ride a subway. But yeah, I don't need that in my life.
There
There's
you go.
other stuff. So
The thing is, dude, death's coming for us. It's coming.
Sure.
And you can't outrun it. And that's
fine.
horrible.
I just don't want to be anxious about it at all times.
But we already are. Like, I'm a little bit all the time.
A little bit.
I'm like, that knife's a little too close to the edge. I'm going to push that back on the counter there.
It's I have thought about that before, like, especially if you're like running late, like you go out to your car and you realize you forgot your keys, so you got to run back in, and that makes you a minute or two late. You're like, what if that minute saved my life? Like, what if I would have been, a car would have run a red light that would have hit me if I would have left a minute sooner?
Like a semi truck just blasts the car in half or something. You're like,
Yeah.
that might have been me.
Who knows?
Glad I forget my keys on a regular basis.
So the San Diego game, we had not played San Diego yet. It was our first time on the road in San Diego at Snapdragon Stadium. I was glad I did not hear any of the offensive goalkeeper chants. I was listening for it on TV because San Diego has had problems with that. I didn't hear it, so I know there were a couple people who traveled out to San Diego to watch the game. So if you were there and you did hear it, I guess let us know. But this game, this was interesting. Most interesting storyline going into this game was, as you mentioned, Dejan Jolic was not there because he was with his wife about to have a baby. So Santiago Munoz got the starter at striker, and he made like 9 minutes of playing time with Sporting before then because we had just signed him. So I was excited to see what he could do as a starter.
It truly is a trial by fire situation. It's like, hey man, welcome to the team. Start the game.
Well, and it's an especially sucky situation. It's not only start the game, it's start the game on the road against a very good team. And oh, by the way, our entire strategy this game is going to be, we're basically just going to park the bus and play defense the entire time. Maybe get a smash and grab goal, but you're not going to actually get a chance to showcase your talents as a true out and out striker. And look, there were moments in this game where Pulskamp had to come up big, where Jacob Bartlett or Robert Volader, despite the fact that they could not pronounce Volader's last name on the broadcast, they kept saying Volader, and I was like, that's not how it is. And there's a pronunciation guide on the website, and if you're an MLS analyst, I feel like you should know this.
That was our guy. That was our friend. That was Rogandinho.
It was
Rogandinho?
Yeah, Mark Rogandinho. And
man.
I like him. He's a nice dude. He always puts a little flourish on the name, especially if it's like a Spanish last name, or a Mexican last name, Latin American last name. He gets that little flair, the accent on the, and I think he was trying to do it with Volader for his German last name, and was assuming how to do it, which good intentions, but if you're not sure, all I had to do, because I was like, have I been saying it wrong for years? I don't think so. I feel like I've heard the club say it. I just Google Robert Volader pronunciation, and they got the phonetic pronunciation guide right there on his player page on Sporting's website.
It's all it takes. Pretty easy for a podcaster like you to just do that. That's a special set of skills you have.
I have a very special set of skills.
It's okay. Ease up, Liam. I will tell you, we've been pretty critical of Volader in the past, and the man has really been playing well the past few games, and he's been forced to be there because of no Danny Rosero, Joaquin Fernandez. Like, he's playing well. And they even asked him in the press conference, they were like, is it, being next to Jansen? And he goes, well, it's definitely not that. No.
Yeah.
I mean, he was joking.
It's funny because those two, I feel like, have developed quite the chemistry and quite the partnership.
Seems that way.
I
don't think I expected Jansen Miller to be a part of this team in this fashion. Anyone who comes through the draft, I'm like, all right, man, I hope he works out on SKC too. That's 100% what I think. And here he is putting in minutes, making big time moments. I'm a fan.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And not to put more pressure on Jansen Miller, but the last time Sporting Kansas City selected a center back at 8th overall, it was Matt Beasler. So I'm just saying, maybe if Sporting gets the 8th overall pick on the Super Draft, we should see what center backs are available. I do find myself, and this might sound a little hyperbolic because he's got a lot of opportunity for growth. He is by no means a perfect player, but I feel confident with Jansen Miller back there as a center back, helping hold down that back line. Yes, he's making mistakes here and there at times, but he's got the athletic ability and the speed to make recovery runs. He's learning and getting better every week. If he makes a mistake, it's rare that you see him make the same mistake again in a subsequent game. He's very receptive to coaching from Kerry Zavagnin. I really, really am enjoying watching Jansen Miller, Jansen Jansen, as Taylor Tolman likes to refer to him. And Volader, we talked about this a little last week. I don't know if it's just because he knows he's in a contract year and he's playing for his time with Sporting Kansas City, or he's playing to get a contract with whatever team he ultimately signs with next year. But that pairing, man, if you had to ask me, if all center backs are healthy right now, what center back pairing would you choose? I'd choose these two because they've had the best run of success defensively in the last couple of years, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, wasn't Danny Rosero like available? I mean,
he was on the bench.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like he's available for selection. So it's not like we're, I don't know what I'm trying to say. You get what I'm trying to say. He's not the best pick, or he'd be in there.
I mean, it could be that he wasn't fully 90 minutes fit and they didn't want to use a sub on a center back, but also if he's available to play and Kerry Zavagnin thought he was truly the best center back, then yeah, he probably would be in there. And I just think it'd be really hard right now to yank either Jansen or Volader out of the lineup. I'm really happy with what I'm seeing there. Look, it was pretty obvious early on in this game what San Diego's strategy was going to be. They were going at Kyrie Shelton. And Kyrie did not start this game well at all. Sporting almost gave up a couple of goals in the first 10 minutes. And Kyrie, he misplayed a header. It just totally fell down. And Chucky Lozano was going at Kyrie multiple times.
Fell down.
He fell down, and then he misplayed another ball 3 minutes later. And I was just like, God, I am such a Kyrie defender, probably more than I should be, just because there had been a disproportionate amount of hate for Kyrie. But I was like, bro, this has not been a good 15-minute stretch. And honestly, for the first 10 or 15 minutes, I think I tweeted this out. I was like, one of these teams looks like an expansion team, and it is not San Diego. It was really rough to start for Sporting. But then they settled in, and San Diego had 10 shots, 4 on goal, and you could see that they were really just trying to work it through Chucky Lozano to get it to Anders Dreyer, their designated player number 10. But Sporting held strong. There was 8 corner kicks for San Diego over the game. Sporting cleared them all. Post camp seemed
A lot of corner kicks. How many did we have? One?
literally one. Post camp seemed more confident. I mean, he came up huge a couple of times with more kick saves. He does this thing, and I feel like he's done it more than Amelia has, where he'll come out of the goal and he just makes himself so big. He's had a couple kick saves. Jacob Bartlett had a clearance off the line. Robert Volater got hit right in the abdomen with the ball and got the wind knocked out of him, but he saved it. I mean, just overall, the team stepped up defensively and earned a 0-0 draw. Really, the only chance that Sporting had was nearly a wonder goal from Shapi Suleimanov in the second half, and he, off his left foot, off the woodwork, could have been a goal. But
yeah, even the highlights were very slim. A lot of John Postcamp stops. Good defense from our point. Not a lot of chances on our point. We have 1 shot on goal. They had 4. So,
yeah,
it is what it is. What?
If you look at the stats on FOTMob, 0.05 expected goals for Sporting Kansas City over the game. So there's really no chances.
Makes sense. Is this the time where I read what Chip sent me this morning?
Let's do it.
Here it is. Chip Shop. For the first time since March 9th, 2024, SKC has come to a 0-0 draw against a team. Funny thing about that, up until last night, SKC had the longest running streak in MLS for playing without coming to a 0-0 draw in league play, a streak of 434 days. That has come to a close, and the torch has been passed to the LA Galaxy, who was holding at exactly 365 days from me writing this when they tied Charlotte FC on May 18th, 2024. But on to the game. Let's discuss. SKC had another match with very low possession percentage, and we didn't have much in terms of threatening possession. Coming in at a 34% possession and only 467 touches compared to San Diego's 66% possession and 756 touches, it was reminiscent of the game against the LA Galaxy where we won off that own goal. Moreover, Sporting KC only had 5 touches in the attacking penalty box all game, and the player with the most touches in the attacking penalty box of any player on SKC was Jansen Miller, not even one of our attackers. All 90 minutes, and we only had 2 shots to show for it, both coming from Shapi. But 2 shots, only 1 on target, and a total game XG of 0.0 doesn't bode well for the attacking woes. And if you come into this house to say defense wins championships, we need to get on the board to get some points to make the playoffs. Definitely give a tip of the hat to the defense, though, who had an amazing game. Stopping San Diego's 1.2 XG and keeping them scoreless was a monumental effort and took the entire back line to keep that going. With the draw against San Diego, SKC falls to 1.0 points per game in the last 5 matches, which is better than we have been in the start of the season, but a dip from that 1.8 point per game we had in early May. Now looking at the breakdown of the game and the table as it currently stands, San Diego has been having a great season. Going into the game, they were 3rd in the West with a 4-2-1 record at home with 2.1 goals scored per game while at home, compared to SKC's 1-1-5 record away with 1.4 goals scored per game while away. If you went back to kickoff and told me we'd end in a 0-0 draw, I think that there was a storm that had the game canceled in the 10th minute. We were absolutely fighting an uphill battle for a good amount of the game, so we're definitely the ones who got more out of that 0-0 draw than San Diego did. Looking forward, at least we have a week off before our next match where we host the New England Revolution, a team we haven't beat in league play since 2017. But that might be because we've only played them 4 times since 2017. But in that time, we've been handed 3 L's and 1 exciting 4-4 draw in 2019. The Revs are currently sitting at 11th in the East compared to our 13th in the West. The thing to note is that despite their rough position, they have 2.2 points per game in their last 5 matches and haven't lost since April 5th when they played Cincinnati in Cincy. Since then, they've gone on a 4-game win streak in league, beating the likes of Atlanta, Charlotte, and Toronto away and NYCFC at home. This is followed by 2 draws, a 3-3 match against Orlando, and a 0-0 match against San Jose. It's also important to note that the Revs are one of 6 teams in MLS who currently have a majority of their points from away games. So don't let the table fool you. This could be a wild ride next Saturday. Thank you, Chip. I get to stumbling over words sometimes. It gets hard for me to read, and I see spots. That's an interesting stat there at the end, that they have a great record away from home. I don't like it.
No, it is tough. And they have, a former MLS MVP in Carlos Gil, who has been with New England for, number of years now. I'm trying to figure out exactly how many years. I'm looking at his career stats, but he's been with New England since 2019, and he's great. I mean, he's got 6 goals and he's their leading goal scorer right now. And second to him is Leo Campana, who used to be on Inter Miami. You may know him. They got rid of him once they signed Suarez and Messi and co and such. So a couple of players to know. But yeah, this is on one hand, you're like, okay, it's not a Western Conference team, so we can't drop points to a Western Conference team. But this is one of those games where if you're going to make a push for the playoff, you got to win games at home. You got to figure out a way to stop Carlos Hill, and you got to, you got to get this one in the bag.
I'm excited to get back out to the park, man. 3 away games. It's been a lot. So it's should be a decent day now that things have been warming up, I'm looking at it right now. The high is 77 and currently some showers in the forecast. So we'll see how it all shapes up.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's I'm not going to be able to be at this game. I'll be paying attention from afar. But
this is my first game back in my regular seats. No more handicap seat for me.
There you go. That's exciting.
It's kind of fun, I guess.
You have to go up and down those stairs.
I'll probably try to get my pee out of the way and then just stay down there.
Just stay there.
But here's the thing, dude. I can't really sit very long. Honestly, 40 minutes into a podcast, I want to stand and shake my legs out a little bit. Luckily, when I'm at a KC Current game, I'm going to stand for at least 4 goals. At some point, I'm standing up out of my seat.
That's true.
Sporting, let's just hope I don't have to sit too long this Saturday. I'd love to score some goals.
We'll see. New England, like Chip said, they're good away from home. It's weird to have a better away record than they do home record. Defensively, they're very sound. 10 goals allowed. They've only scored 12 goals. Half of them come from Carlos Hill. So if you can stop Carlos Hill, then Sporting has a good chance. But you really have to get the attack back on track. More of those good team goals like we saw against St. Louis, and less of the 0.05 XG performances against San Diego.
Seriously, man. But if you're a team coming to play Sporting KC, what's your scouting report even look like? Because we've been different
every time.
It's different every time. We're finding different ways to get results here. And I don't know. You can't just be like, hey, so Shallowy's the one to watch, because it's not necessarily, right. Not all the time.
Right.
Then you got this Shoppy guy who's pretty explosive. I don't know. I think New England should be a little worried about this and hopefully just try to stay calm and play their game. And maybe we can get out of there with a win, dude. It's a home game, so we hope so.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Before we sign off here, you got anything else you want to say about Sporting? There's one non-sporting story I do want to touch on, and that is the LA Galaxy have signed head coach Greg Vanney to a contract extension.
Sound familiar?
They announced a multi-year contract extension for Greg Vanney in the midst of a 13-game winless streak for the LA Galaxy. Currently, they have not won a single league game. They've played 13 as of now, 3 draws, 10 losses, a -21 goal differential. Now, they did just win MLS Cup last year, so that's the biggest differentiator between what happened with Peter and Greg Vanney. But look, the Galaxy's last 3 games, they lost to Kansas City when Kansas City didn't get a single shot. They lost to the New York Red Bulls 7-0 after that. And then they lost to the Philadelphia Union 3-2 in a 90+6 stoppage time game-winning goal. So
a horrible time to be a Galaxy supporter.
For them to then come out and be like, we've signed Greg Vanney to an extension. I just was like, bro, I didn't think he was going to get fired after the Sporting game. And then the 7-0 game happened. I was like, maybe, I don't know. And they're like, nope, actually we are. And then MLS, they put out a tweet where they're like, the Galaxy are doubling down. And I was like, this is a crazy tweet from the league.
It is. But this is a direct statement to their fans, because their fans are like, we need Greg Vanney gone. This is insane. We just won MLS Cup. What is happening? Why can't we get results? And the front office is like, we'd like to extend your contract. And the fans are pissed. Like, you're not even listening to us at this point. And does this sound familiar to you, buddy? Because we were a part of this for Sporting. Like, so many people wanted Peter out. And then the club was like, we're extending your contract, Peter. Like, it's just a slap in the face is what it is. Like, hey, y'all don't know anything. Stay with the process. Didn't work out for Sporting in the end. Peter is now gone. So keep an eye on this Greg Vanney situation.
He gets extended through the 2028 season. It's a 3-year contract extension, so he'll be around for 26, 27, 28. And Paul Tenorio of The Athletic reported that the contract will make him the highest paid manager who is not also a dual manager sporting director. So not only did they sign him to an extension, they're like, boom, record contract.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works for him.
It's just, it is crazy. And I guess it just goes to show that history repeats itself. Because there were people who were talking about if Greg Vanney gets fired, the Galaxy might look at Peter Vermees. And that's clearly not happening now. So
right. But if they if you're a Galaxy fan and you hear that, you're like, well, we don't want that.
But what's weird is the Galaxy fans might be like, yes, we hate Greg Vanney enough, we'll take Peter Vermees. Because I think there would be Sporting fans who, if a month ago you would have offered, we can get rid of Peter Vermees and hire Greg Vanney, would you take it? They would have been like, absolutely. So it might be one of the, I think so.
That's just pretty interesting.
Like, if you would have offered both teams the chance to just straight up 1-for-1 swap their coaches, I honestly think both fan bases might have taken it.
What? That's like, I don't understand it. I really don't. But whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy. But look, this league, it's wild. Crazy stuff happens. So
I had analogies galore in my head, and I was like, none of them are appropriate, so I'm just gonna let it go.
Probably good.
It's an off the podcast thing. Let's not.
That's for if we ever start a Patreon, maybe one day that's where you'll get the unfiltered.
The unfiltered. What are you talking about? This is pretty much unfiltered.
No other pod after dark.
Oh my, naughty.
You got anything else?
If it's after, I might actually stand up and show you that I don't even wear pants on this.
You're like,
heyo.
Visual representation. You got anything else for our good listeners?
Nah, man. We don't have to have a game this week, or this midweek, so we get to get back home on Saturday, man. Excited to see everybody out there. Not you, but everybody else.
I'll be watching from a distance.
So there you go.
Anyway, thank you all.
You'll be at Disney World, bro. You'll be rewinding the galaxy and shit.
I'll be drunk at Epcot probably, but I will be checking the score.
You can drunk at Epcot?
What? I mean, you go drink around the world.
Yeah, I know, but like that sounds expensive. Like, isn't everything way more expensive there?
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna literally myself probably have 11 drinks in all the different countries, but I'll split some drinks with some people, and yeah, it'll be good.
Huh. Okay,
I probably will be drunk at Epcot.
Money.
I save for these. It's fun.
Fair enough.
Should be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
But anyway, thank you all so much for listening, and make sure you leave us that 5-star rating and review if you have not yet done so. You can follow us on social at NoOtherPod, at Dan Kooser, at JCMac03. Send us an email, nootherpod@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube, KCSN Soccer, or via the KC Sports Network app. But until next time, he's Dan. I'm Jimmy. I'll catch y'all later. See ya.
Come see Groundhog Day.